So welcome everyone for the Emotional Intelligence Leadership. I'm in training. Today will be a practical application training. My name is Jonas Hagos. I am a professional engineer. I graduated from Arba Minch University and I'm a project manager. I live in Nashville, Tennessee in the United States. I'm here for a month for vacation, but I took the opportunity to share with you my experience about emotional intelligence. So the main concept of emotional intelligence is we're going to discuss about the introduction. We're going to discuss about introduction about me, what I do, and we're going to discuss about the introduction of emotions, what emotions are, and what emotional intelligence is. And we're going to discuss about self-awareness, because self-awareness is really half of part of the journey of emotional intelligence. And we're going to discuss about self-regulation. Once we're aware of our emotions, we're going to discuss about self-regulation, social awareness and empathy, social skills and relationship management, and review and application of emotional intelligence. And we are going to have a closing of the emotional intelligence training. So to tell you a few about myself, I have two kids, one boy and one girl, and I work as a project manager in the United States for a consulting firm. And currently I'm a project manager. And outside work, I enjoy reading books, enjoying the outdoors and having fun with my kids and with my wife. And then I have been in few areas. I have visited some countries from Dubai from 2010 to I have been in India, Philippines, France, the Netherlands, Belgium, Spain, Canada, and USA. I plan to travel more countries because it gives me a lot of perspective. It's very, once I travel all these areas, I know the culture, I know the emotion of those people, so it really helped me to have a better emotional intelligence. So what's the goal of this training? Every training needs to have a goal. What is the goal? Why are you here? The first thing is to be aware of your emotions. How do you see yourself on the mirror? When you see yourself on the mirror, do you see a confident woman, a confident man, or like the cat looking at the mirror, she's looking a lion? Because you can see yourself as a very, capable person, that you can do, that you can be emotionally intelligent, that can be the best of you. And the second objective is to manage your emotions. Once you are aware of your emotions, once you know what triggers you, the second step is really managing your emotions. You have to manage your emotions. So being aware of yourself and managing your emotions is about you. The second step is about other people. The second step is really being empathetic. Do you understand other people's feelings? Can you be on the other person's shoe? Do you really understand why people are complaining, why people are asking you for advice? And the other step, the fourth step, is really working together. We live with people, we work with people. We cannot be successful without people. It doesn't mean that we have to work with everyone, but we work with people. Starting from our house, we work with people, we live with people. So we need to have really a better relationship with people. So once you have all this, that means you can say that you are emotionally intelligent and that you can understand people, you understand yourself, and then you can have a better relationship with people. So that's really the goal of the training. So what's the benefit of emotional intelligence, having high emotional intelligence? Why do you want to take the training? The first thing is it can improve your relationship. When you have a relationship, when you try to understand people, you will have a better relationship. When you have active listening skills, when you try to understand other people's perspective, you're going to improve your relationship. The second one is effective communication. When you are actively listening someone, you will have a better communication because you're not just talking to make a point. You are trying to understand the other person's perspective. And you can enhance leadership skill. A leader doesn't need to be a leader. You don't need to have a title. You can be a leader. You all are leaders. You are leading your life. So it can enhance or develop your leadership skill. And then you can even have a better mental health. Because sometimes we are so angry about so many things, we complain about things, and then we can be depressed. We can be stressed. And then that stress and depression definitely affects your mental health. So it helps you to have a better, because when you're not complaining every day, when you try to understand other people, when you are not angry every day, you will have a better mental health. And adaptability, this is also key. When change comes, let's say you are married, when you are divorced, or when you are married, or when you have kids, when something changes, you will learn how to adapt. You will have the capability of trying to understand and trying to be adaptive. And you can also improve decision making, right? When you are angry, the decision is not as you want it to be. When we are angry, we just make a decision, and then that decision can be very dangerous. So it will help us to have improved decision making. And then increase empathy. Empathy is really trying to understand other people's perspective. Most of the time we don't care about other people, we're just focusing on ourselves. But empathy is trying to understand the other person's perspective. That's how you try to listen. Just listen to respond, not listen to react. So if having high emotional intelligence can give us all this advantage, all these benefits, I guess you agree that we need to be highly emotional intelligent, right? Everyone needs to have high emotional intelligence. High emotional intelligence means understanding our emotions, managing our emotions, understanding other people's emotions, and managing a relationship. It's everything about emotional intelligence is about us and other people. Most of the time we focus on us. Me. That doesn't work. We have to think about the other person. So when we start thinking about we're going to have a better relationship. So one key question that I want you to ask yourself is, do my emotion manage me? Every day, every situation, you need to ask yourself, do my emotions manage me? What does emotions manage me means? Well, you are angry all the time. You don't want to listen to the other person. You start complaining, So just think about yourself. Do you really complain a lot? Do you get frustrated? Do you get angry about other people? If that happens to you, that means your emotion is managing you. When you manage your emotion, when you have high emotional intelligence, you manage the emotions. When something happens, you're going to manage it. You're going to be calm. You're going to actively listen. And then in that case, that means you are managing the emotions. And that's what we want. That's what I want you to do in your life. You have to manage your emotions. So let's talk about emotions. What's emotion? What does it mean? How does it come? The first thing is there is a situation. Something happens to you. And then the next step comes interpretation. It's a situation, something happened. Something happened to all of us. Our interpretation is completely different. So after the interpretation, there will be emotions. If somebody insulted us, let's say somebody said bad things about us. If you are highly emotional intelligent, you're going to say, oh, maybe he has a bad day. Maybe he's not, feeling well. If you are not emotionally intelligent, you're going to say, well, because he's insulting me because I am this. You're going to interpret it in a wrong way, in a negative way. So the emotion comes. After the emotion comes, there's going to be action. Well, the action will be based on the emotion. So we are slaves of our thoughts, and then after the thought, there's going to be emotion. After the emotion, there will be action, and then it's going to be a circulation, which we call it thought, feeling, action, result. So the thought, feeling, action, result cycle is really, there is a thought, you think about something, there is emotional or feelings, and then it's going to come to action based on your emotion, and then After action, there will be outcome, result. It could be negative or positive. And then based on that positive or negative feelings, there is going to be a thought. And then it's just going to be a circulation. But in the middle, we have emotional triggers. Emotional triggers are something that happened before. It could be in our childhood. It could be in high school, elementary school, in our marriage. Something that happened before comes to, after you thought about something, it comes to your mind. And then that's where it triggers your emotion. And then when it triggers that, the emotion comes to the action, from the action to the results, and the result, it becomes circulation. So that's why we have to break that. We have to have a good thought to have a good feeling. After the feeling, it's going to be action and the result. So we have to focus on our thoughts. That's the key message here. So let's say an example. Sami is going for an interview, right? And he thought, that's the situation. It's an interview. The interview is neutral, right? For me, for everybody, it's an interview. But he thought, I'm not qualified. He's saying, I'm not qualified. His thought is, I'm not qualified. The emotion is going to come. It's like, yeah, you're not qualified. Why are you studying? There are more qualified people. And then in that case, after the emotion, the action will be, he's not going to be prepared. He will not be prepared himself. And then after that, the result will be, if he's not prepared, he's not going to get the job. So it's really, if he would say, let's say the second case study is, let's say Salam is preparing for a presentation. She said, I can do this. When she says, I can do this, that's the thought. After that thought, she's going to say, once she believes that she can do it, she can do a good presentation, she's going to be preparing herself. And then after she prepares herself, she's going to feel good. That's the feeling. After the good feeling, she's going to be ready. And then once she goes for the presentation, she's going to have an amazing presentation. So you have to always think the thought, feeling, action, and result. After the result, it's going to come back. So just always think about how you feel to yourself, how you tell to yourself, to your subconscious mind, so that you can have a better result. So emotional intelligence normally has these 5 factors. The first one is self-awareness. You have to be aware of yourself. Second one is really self-regulation. Once you are aware of your emotions, the second one is self-regulation. And then you need to have also social skills. Because we work with people, we live with people, so we have to understand social skills. And then there will be empathy. Once empathy means really trying to understand other people's perspective. When you need to have an empathy, that means you are going to listen to other people. And then motivation. You need to have motivation. We're going to discuss about motivations and how we can use it in our life. So emotional intelligence, if anybody asks you, you have been on an emotional intelligence training, what is emotional intelligence? What does it involve? The first thing is really understanding and managing emotions. The first pillar of emotional intelligence is understanding and managing our emotions. The second pillar is empathizing with others, trying to understand other people's perspective. And finally, we need to build a positive relationship. We understand ourselves, we understand other people, and we build a better relationship. That's where we say we are emotionally intelligent. And the advantage of being high emotionally intelligent, I have told you, in your life, professional life, you can find a lot of benefits being emotionally intelligent. So what's self-awareness? As its name indicates, self-awareness is really understanding ourselves, trying to understand how we think, trying to understand what's our emotions, trying to understand our strengths, our drive, our values, our goals. How many of us in this room really know what we need? What's our emotion? What makes us unhappy? Maybe we might know what makes us unhappy, but do we know why we are unhappy, where we are really unhappy? Do we know our strength? Do we know our weakness? Do we really know what our strength is? Do we know our weakness? What's our drive? Why are we here for the emotional intelligence training? Do we know our drive, or did we just came because somebody is coming? And our values, what are our values? Respect, trust. There are so many values, personal values. Do we know them? And goals, what's our goal? If we want to go to, for scholarship, is it just going to the US or Europe the goal? Or do we have a better goal? We have to understand that. We have to have a clear objective and goal in our life. So there are two self-awareness. The first one is internal self-awareness, knowing ourselves. And the other thing is really external self-awareness. What does people talk about us? What does people feel about us? So we have to be good at both internal self-awareness and external self-awareness. Once we understand both, that means we can say we are self-aware people. How about self-regulation? Self-regulation is really controlling our emotions. Do we control our emotions? There is a book called 5-Second Rule. You have to control your emotions. You cannot just, burst your anger every day. First of all, you're gonna break your relationship. Second of all, you're gonna be sick, because stress comes from anger. Depression comes from complaining, being angry. So we have to understand how we can, and the key to self-regulation is really active listening, and then trying to evaluate yourself and being aware of your emotions. If you know that you're going to be angry, you have to control that. Otherwise, it's going to mess up your relationship. So self-regulation is really, it's just really managing the emotion, the impulse, and our behaviors. We have to control them. And then it's really about self-control. But to have a self-control skill, you have to be aware of yourself. If you're not aware of yourself, you cannot control it. That means you don't know about your emotions. So now, you're going to see yourself. Some of you will see yourself when you are angry. Have you hit a wall or a people? How do you control your emotions? Maybe it might not be this much, but how about this one? Sometimes my eye can be red when I'm so angry, so that you can see somebody's angry. So these are really how we feel, but these are really anger reactions that we don't want to happen. How about this one? If you see somebody like this, you're not gonna have a good relationship. And this person might not be even healthy if he continues doing like this. How about this one? I'm sure some of us has done this in our life. We're so angry, we don't know what to do. And that's not helping. That's not really helping. So our goal of this training is really to not react like this. To be calm, to try to understand people, to actively listen, and then live our life. Otherwise, because it's very dangerous, it's not gonna help us to pursue our life. So this is a good concept of the react and respond. React means you immediately react. When somebody says bad stuff, you're just immediately reaction. You're not thinking. You're not giving your mind to think. Respond means you have to think about it for a few seconds. And then once you think about that, you can respond. So as you can see from here, if it's a react, it's really in the moment. It's just triggered by something. And then you are going to regret it immediately. But sometimes it could be late. Let's say you have a friendship, you have a marriage, you have a relationship. Sometimes it could be too late, right? You say something bad, you might break your relationship. But when it's respond, you're going to respond. You're going to give it time. And then, as you can see, it's less charged. It's not really based on the emotion that you have currently. So I want you, when you go in the taxi, having, something happens to you, do you really react and talk about it, or do you respond? So I want you to shift your life from the react to the respond. That means It needs thinking, it needs conscious thinking, but that's a better decision factor. So we have to move from the react section to the respond section so that we can have a better life and relationship with people. But what you might ask, what's the problem if I don't control myself? Well, first of all, it damages relationship. If you don't control yourself, it's going to damage the relationship. The second one is health issues. As I said, you're going to be depressed. You're going to be stressed. So that's going to be a problem. If you're not managing your emotion, or if you're bursting your anger, you're going to damage your health. The other thing is impaired judgment. Impaired judgment means you're going to judge emotion. So your imagination and your thinking will be clouded. And then that judgment is not going to be good. And you're going to regret about that. And decreased productivity. Imagine you are so angry and you're complaining every day, you're not going to be productive. So your productive will go down. And then there will be legal and financial consequence. Well, if you hit somebody, if you're angry and hit somebody, well, there's going to be a legal and financial consequence. So that's why we're saying we have to control our emotions. Because if we don't control our emotions, we're going to have all these problems. And then if you have all these problems in your life, I'm sure you're not going to be happy. And then we all want to be happy. So that's why we have to manage our emotions. The other thing is social awareness. So everything before this was about us, understanding our emotions and controlling our emotions. Now let's discuss about the social. If it's about me, this step will be about you guys, how to understand your emotions. So in that case, social awareness and empathy is really improving the ability to understand others' emotions. We understand our emotion, now the next step is really trying to understand others' emotions. So we can discuss about the empathetic communication. What does empathetic communication means? This communication means understanding, validating, and supporting. First, you have to understand. When somebody comes and tells you, I have a problem, first of all, you have to validate, you have to understand, you have to listen to them. Second is really validate, telling them that you understand the situation. The third step is just trying to help. They might not even need help from you directly, but you can try to help them. So this includes really, an open-ended question. Let's say somebody comes and asks you for help. You have to ask them, what's the problem? Do you need any help? What's the situation? Try to understand the situation. And then after that, you can paraphrase it. If they say, I have a problem, or you mean you have a problem, paraphrasing it, making sure you're listening to them. And then providing feedback, not a solution, but a feedback. You can ask them, what if you do this? Can you try this? Have you tried this? Kind of providing a feedback. So we have 3 steps. If somebody comes to you for a problem, it could be your wife, your husband, anybody, or your family. The first step is really active listening. You have to listen to them. You have to put your phone down and listen to them. That's the active listening part. The second step is validating feelings. You have to validate the feelings. Their feeling. It's their feeling. It's not your feeling. So you have to validate that. Third one is offering support. It's after the 2 steps that you can offer support. So let's say, this is an example. If you attended the previous training, you know this example. So let's say Abebe just lost his job. And then he said, I'm feeling anxious and uncertain about what to do. And Salam said, oh, don't worry about it. Imagine, we said understanding, validating, and supporting. So she said, oh, don't worry about it. And then the second one is, I know exactly how you feel. This looks okay, right? To say, I know how you feel. But then she said, I found a new, I also lost my job once, but I found a new one within a month. She's making it about herself. She doesn't know if Abebe is going to get a job in a month or 2 months or a day. And then she said, so you will be fine. So this is not really empathetic communication, because the first thing is she's minimizing the person Ababa's feeling, right? She's saying, don't worry about it. Imagine somebody comes to your house or to your work and then says he's talking to you about some problem, and then you say, oh, don't worry about it. He's not going to talk to you about that again, because you are minimizing that person's feeling. You're not listening. The second one is making it about yourself. She's making it about herself. He has lost his job, but she's saying, oh, I lost my job and I got a job in a month. Well, that's her, you know? It's not Ababa, because Ababa might get a job after 1 day, in a year or 2 months. So we cannot make it about ourselves. The other thing is jumping to an advice, so you'll be fine. I mean, that would be nice if it could be fine, but that's not the situation. So we have to really, this is not a good empathetic solution. So this is really a bad example of empathy. How about the good one? Let's talk about the good one. Ababa asked the same thing to Salam, and then Salam said, you know, I'm sorry to hear that. So she's understanding, she's listening, and she's validating. You know, losing a job can be incredibly tough, so she's validating his issues. And then after that, she started asking, is there any specifics that been on your mind? This is an open question, trying to understand from himself. So this is how you really try to understand other people's. And then after that, you know, Ababa continued to talk to her, to tell her about his situation. On the previous example, he stopped because she's not validating his emotions. And then after that, you know, she said if she can support him or anything. So that's the support. So understanding, validating, and support are the steps of empathetic communication. Now let's discuss about the social skill and relationship management. Now we understand about other people's emotions. We understand our emotions. We can manage our emotion. And then next, we understand other people's emotion. Third one will be social skill and relationship management. So on this case, this is really the key. You need to have all three: controlling your emotion, managing your emotion, understanding your emotion, and then understanding others' emotion. Once you have three pillars, you can come to the social and relationship management. So really, relationship management is just building a healthy and meaningful relationship with people. It could be in your house, it could be at work, it could be your friends, it could be colleagues. It's just having a good relationship, not only with your friends, not only with your friends with benefit, you know, even with at work, like with you, me, we need to have a good relationship. To have a good relationship, we have to understand the other person's emotions. So what are the social skills and relationship management, you know, factors? The first thing is active listening. Every time, active listening is the key. I don't really think we listen to each other very well. You can ask yourself if you're really listening to people when they talk to you, or are you waiting for your turn to talk, you know, to react? So active listening is key. And the other thing is nonverbal communication. Sometimes we can see people whether they're happy or angry or, you know, so nonverbal communication is also a key. And assertive communication, telling somebody with empathy, but being straightforward, you know. So that's assertive communication. And conflict resolution. When conflict happens, do we just go for a conclusion, or do we try to understand the other person's perspective? And the collaboration and teamwork. At the end of the day, if you need to have a good relationship, you need to have a teamwork spirit. You cannot just live by yourself. You cannot be successful without people. So the active listening, as we discussed, is really fully focusing on the speaker. If somebody is telling you your feelings, their feelings, it's really focusing, giving full control, full attention. And nonverbal communication, we have to be good at nonverbal communication, because sometimes somebody is so angry or not happy, and then we keep talking. That's not going to work. We have to read their face. We have to read how they react so that we can continue communicating. And the tone of voice, you know, somebody, if they change the tone of voice, well, you have to understand, otherwise it's not going to lead you to a good communication. Assertive communication really, as I told you, is expressing your thoughts and feelings or need directly, but with empathy, not being arrogant. And conflict resolution, this is not an easy topic, but when you have a conflict, do you really try to understand the other person's emotion, or you just focus on yourself? So you really have to focus on that as well. And finally, collaboration and teamwork. I think most of us work with a team, at least 2-3 people. In my experience, sometimes I work with 15 people, 15 engineers. So if I don't have the team mentality spirit, we're not going to deliver the project. So that's a key. You need to have a work ethics, and then you have to respect other people's perspective. Your idea is not always right. You know, sometimes we might think that my idea is right, but that's not always the case. You have to also respect other people's ideas and perspectives. And finally, we're going to have, we're going to build and maintain a good relationship. We're going to try to understand people, have a good relationship, and it's going to be a good life for your life in personal life or professional life. And then in that case, you're going to have a trust, respect, and mutual understanding. Trust is key, but you have to earn it. You cannot force somebody to trust you, by the way. Whether it's in your house or outside, you cannot force somebody to trust you. You need to earn it. And then respect, the same thing. You cannot force respect. Somebody might respect you, but it could be out of fear. But if you really try to understand people, they can respect you from their heart. It's not like a pretending or by force. And then mutual understanding. Mutual understanding is very key. If somebody is married here, mutual understanding in relationship in marriage is a key. Otherwise, because sometimes after you're married or something, there is a change. You have kids and all that, and then you need to have a mutual understanding with your partner. So, and at work or with your team. The other thing is, how many of you do you think really apologizing is a weakness? I'm not gonna say sorry because he's gonna think I'm weak. Apologizing is not a weakness. It's a strength. Remember this. Apologizing, if you really make a mistake, is not a weakness. It's a strength. You might think that, somebody's gonna say this, but it's a very, very strength. First of all, you have to know why you are saying sorry. You cannot just say, Jonas, I'm so sorry. For what? It has to be empathetic, You have to mean it. Once you mean it, it's not a weakness. So I want you to try to think, if somebody is not happy about what you did, you have to apologize to them, and you have to be specific. So now let's discuss about the fundamental techniques on handling people. The first one is, do not criticize. There is a positive criticism, but you cannot just criticize people. I mean, if you need to have a good relationship. If not, you can do that. You can criticize. But if you need to have a good relationship, do not criticize people directly, because they're going to be on defense mode. It's human nature, right? If you're going to criticize me, I'm going to be defensive, and then it's going to stop. The communication is going to stop. And don't condemn, and don't complain. Especially if you're not going to change anything, stop complaining. It's not helping. It's going to affect your health and the relationship. And then when you appreciate, give a honest and sincere appreciation, and be specific about that. You have to say, if you are appreciating somebody, you have to tell them that I appreciate you for the specific things. They're gonna feel it. I'm sure nobody in this world hates appreciation. We all likes to be appreciated, but it needs to be specific, and then a sincere one. And be genuinely interested in other people. I am very interested with all of you, to be honest. Like, I just love people, try to talk, to share experience. That's why I connect with people. Nothing else. I'm not genius. It's just I like people, and I want to have a good relationship. That's why I really connect with people, and you can do that. And then once you do that, you will have a good relationship with people. And then you have to use these 3 magic words. The first thing is please. You have to say please when you ask something. You have to say thank you. You have to say thank you, and specifically to somebody who does a good job or who did it. It could be at work, right? If you are a CEO or if you are working with people, you have to thank them. It's not an easy thing, like, to say thank you, but it's very helpful to have a good relationship. And then you're welcome. So it's really please, thank you, you're welcome. It makes it smooth, the communication smooth. And then it has to be from your heart, though. You cannot just say thank you for the sake of saying thank you. So the way to have a good relationship with people is really, you have to build trust. To build trust, you need to have a good ethics, integrity, and then when you care, you have to share it. Let's say I care about you, I have to share it. I have to tell you. I cannot assume that, oh, they know. Because in my childhood, it might be different. How, there is a tough love, right? Somebody says, well, I love you, why should I tell you? But you have to tell. When you share, you have to share it. You have to tell them that you love them, you care about them. Because that's very key. The other thing is, when you explain your decision. Sometimes you do something and you assume, well, you should have known it or something. You have to explain your decision. If you are a boss or if you have a relationship, you need to explain the decision so that they can feel they are involved in the decision making. And the other thing is really how to win people so that they can come to your way of thinking. The first one is show respect. You have to respect people. If you need to get respect, you have to respect them. It's straightforward. You cannot gain a respect if you're not respecting people. And then, as I said, never say you're wrong. Remember this, never say somebody is wrong. Because when you say, they might be wrong, so we can find another way. So when you say you're wrong, they're going to be on defensive mode. And the discussion will be stopped, or it's going to go to an argument. So never really say you are wrong. The other thing is, if you are wrong, admit it. How many of us really admit when we are wrong? Or do we want to cover it? It's like apologizing. We have to admit it. And when we admit it, we have to be specific. I'm sorry I did this, but I'm going to improve it. The other person might say other stuff, but it's up to you. You have to control that. And you have to begin in a friendly way. When you have a conflict, you cannot just go there and try to be bossy and, you have to start in a friendly way. It's not easy, I understand, but you have to do that. If you need to be above the average, if you need to have a good emotional intelligence, you have to start, with a friendly way. And try honestly on the other side. This is the challenge. Most of the time we don't really try to understand the other person's perspective. But we are special here. We are, trying to understand about emotional intelligence, so we have to be honestly trying to understand the other person's point of view. One more thing about being a great leader. We are all leaders. We don't need a position to be a leader. We can lead without a position. So if you want to be a good leader, when providing comments, begin with a praise. You cannot just start with complaining. You have to start, okay, Jonas, you did this. This was very good, but, can you improve this? That way, when you start with praise, I'm not going to be defensive. I'm going to be open to listen. and then you can continue with the room for improvement. Still, don't say, Jonas, you did this good, but this is wrong. I mean, don't say that. It's not a good way of communication. It's not gonna help you. And you can call attention to people's mistakes indirectly. The idea here is not to make our point that we are right. The idea here is really to have a good relationship. So you can tell them indirectly. And you can start with talking about your own mistakes. Well, you might not believe that you have a mistake, but we have a mistake. When something clash, when you have an argument with two people, it's two mistakes. One is mine, the other one is yours. So I have to start with my own mistake. I'm sorry I have done this, this is wrong, and then can you improve yours? That way, they are gonna listen to me. And this is the key. Ask questions instead of giving direct orders. So let's say there is a problem, right? You are late, your project is late. Instead of asking you, you have to deliver it tomorrow, if I ask you, okay, when can you deliver it? When do you think you can deliver it? That's a good way of, letting me know when you can do it. That way, you're not gonna be defensive. You're gonna try to, rationalize it. So that's very, very key. Asking questions, instead of giving direct order, can help you to have a good relationship with your team, even in your life, personal life. So now we have discussed about all emotional intelligence, emotions, managing emotions, social skill. Now let's talk about what would look like a day, a day in the life of a person with high emotional intelligence. Let's say we are high emotional intelligence. What would our day look like? The first thing is in the morning. What do you do in the morning is very key. Wake up with a positive mindset. This is a key. You need to have a positive mindset. Second one is, practice self-care. It could be taking a shower. It could be having a clean clothes. It could be praying. It could be, putting makeups. Whatever you think is self-care, you have to have a self-care to yourself. And the other thing is reflect and set intentions for the day. You have to plan for the day. What do you want to do? Like you cannot say just, I'm gonna work for 8 hours. That's not an intention. You have to put an intention. I'm gonna have a good relationship with people. I'm gonna work on this project. I'm gonna meet somebody. I'm gonna have lunch with, just have a plan in your mind for the day. And during the day, you're gonna work about, interact with people, have a good relationship, have a empathetic communication. And managing emotions, you have to manage emotions. When you are angry, you have to try to manage it. That's how emotionally intelligent people really have their day. And then build a good relationship. On the evening, well, you're home, you have to relax a bit. You cannot just scroll on your social media or watch Qana, because that's gonna take a lot of time. Just try to, seek a personal growth, reflect on the day. You have to reflect, okay, today you had an intention already. You have to evaluate that. You have to evaluate if you did good or not good. And then you have to practice gratitude. Gratitude is key. Whatever religion you believe, you have to practice gratitude. I am so grateful to be in front of you. I am so grateful to be healthy. I am so grateful that I'm sharing my experience. And then we have so many things to be grateful for. Every day, every morning, I write gratitude, like 5 gratitude words. Just appreciating, I'm healthy, I have a good life, I have a good, healthy kids, I have a good job, whatever. You just have to practice gratitude every day, every night, or every morning, or both, depending on your time. So one more thing is really, how can we do this all? What's the motivation? What motivates you to come here? There are 2 types of motivations. The first one is intrinsic motivation, and the second one is extrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation is you do it for the sake of satisfaction. You do it really for the sake of satisfaction. And extrinsic motivation is you do it to get paid, to get money, or punishment, or grade, or recognition, or praise. Both of them help us. You cannot just work for satisfaction, right? You need money, you need grade, you need whatever. So both of them can help us. For instance, providing this training makes me happy. It gives me satisfaction. It's really intrinsic motivation. But what I do for work, it's really extrinsic motivation. It's because I get paid. And both of them, they are fine. We don't have to say one is good or one is bad. But when you combine both of them, that's a success. When you have both motivations, you can be really successful. So really action for, to motivation, enhancing motivation is really, you have to set a clear and achievable goal. Do you have a goal? And is it achievable? I'm sure you know about the SMART goal setting. So the SMART goal setting is, and never give up. I mean, time changes, but you have to stick to your goal. So you have to dream, set goal, and keep going. Now, let's discuss about the SMART goal setting. The SMART means specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. This is a key SMART goal setting. It needs to be specific. You cannot just say, I need 1 million. You have to say, I need 1 million in this time, and doing this, have to be specific. And then it has to be measurable. You have to be able to measure it. And then it needs to be achievable. You cannot just say, I'm going to get 10 million tomorrow. That's not achievable. I don't know, unless you lottery calculate. So, and it has to be relevant to your goal. It needs to be relevant to your goal. And it has to be time-bounded. You cannot just openly say, oh, I need this much. Well, it has to be specific. So let's talk about not SMART goal. If the goal is not SMART, you will say, I will take IELTS or TOEFL exam soon. It's not specific, right? It doesn't have time bound. It's not time bounded. It might be achievable, but when is soon? Is it after a year, 2 years, 3 years, or tomorrow? When you make it SMART goal, you say, I will spend 1 hour per day after work on the weekends from Monday to Friday, and 4 hours per day on the weekends, studying IELTS or TOEFL for the next 3 months, focusing on reviewing major topics and completing practice exams. It's relevant. And then to achieve a passing rate of 7 or higher. When you do this, you know when to study, 1 hour a day and 4 hours a day for the weekend. And then you know what you're going to study, IELTS or TOEFL. And then for how many days? Months? For 3 months. And then what's your goal? Well, you need to achieve 7 or higher, because that's most of the universities' criteria to get a PhD or master's. So you have to do all your goals. It could be anything. It could be doing PhD, it could be getting married, it could be anything, having your own company. This is how you really set a goal, a SMART goal. And then I have a good news for you. The good news is you are responsible for your own success or failure. You can ask people, you can take trainings, you can read, you can watch YouTube, but the success is on your hand. The key is with you. Once we start complaining about the weather, about the government, about your family, about your cousin, about somebody who is in the US not sending you money, dollar, at that moment you are failing. You have to start with your mind. Your success is yourself. You can make yourself successful or failure, because the other external force, you cannot control it. You cannot control the weather. You cannot control, I don't know if you can control the government, I don't think so. But it's just you're gonna take your time, spending your time and complaining. So Let's start with ourselves. Our success is in our hand. You can ask support. You can ask me anything you want, but it has to start with yourself. You cannot complain about your cousin living abroad for not giving you money. That's not your control. What you can do is, a good person trying to achieve something, and then at that moment you can get the support. But complaining about a traffic is not helpful. Complaining about the weather is not helpful. It's not changing anything. Let's focus on what's changing. And then thank you for listening. I'm so grateful for spending time with you. Thank you.